If you're thinking of starting a fundable CIC, or you've already started your CIC and then you kind of have some challenges now, today in this video I'm going to talk about 5 of the biggest mistakes that CIC founders make when they start their CICs. These mistakes can actually cost you funding opportunities. These mistakes I'm about to talk about right now, it will sometimes make you very stressed and sometimes even make you lose the dream project, which is your CIC that you are starting. If you're very serious about starting and growing a fundable CIC, then this is the place for you. Hit the subscribe button on my YouTube channel here, because I also have my own CIC called Youth Visionary CIC, and this is the channel I'm using right now to talk to you. Subscribe, like, and then share this video to a young and up-and-coming CIC founder that may need to learn about these 5 mistakes. Now, mistake number 5 is one of the biggest reasons why most CICs fail. And I'll show you exactly how you can avoid that. Before we go into the video, my name is Zion Oshiobugie. I am a CIC and grant funding consultant. And I help loads of organizations, craft projects that gets funded, grow their organizations, and just help them get off the ground, as it were. Now, I have, clarity sessions where if you're confused about the idea you have and you want to see if this idea is fundable, you want to, speak with me, then, we can get on a paid clarity call. And then I have 3 bundles that I work with people on, and those 3 bundles is basically, after the clarity session, we then check which of these bundles of my paid package will help you, and then we see if we can work together, right? But the first thing I would advise you is, if you're starting your CIC and you are kind of fuzzy, let's get on a 30-minute clarity call. I'll put the link to, how to reach me. Mistake number 1 is choosing bad directors. Now, the rule here is you should have 3 directors. 1 must be unrelated to you in any way, right? But I always suggest to people as a consultant, I say to you, have 2 unrelated directors. Why? It's easier when you apply for some funding or apply for funding. When funders see that you are all unrelated, it helps the funder to be more confident knowing that the funds that they are disbursing to you guys will be managed properly. I always have that advice to my clients to say, make sure your directors plus yourself making 3 are all unrelated. That's the rule there. But what is the mistake people make? Now, the first mistake under that having choosing bad directors is the fact that most people choose just their friends and their family members. And most of your friends and family members might say yes, but they don't know what a CIC is. They don't know their role. They just said yes to it. Don't choose your friends and family members who don't understand the role they are going to play. Now, another thing you need to watch out for when choosing directors is, don't choose people that have their own selfish interests with the CIC. Certain directors have selfish interests. They want to get paid, they want to make money, and then they come in as directors and then they end up kicking you out. I've seen cases, because all of you are directors. You're not the only director. All of you are going to be directors. So if a director raises a red flag to say, I want this other person gone because they're misappropriating funds or something, then you're going to be gone. Having people that have their own interest and they don't want the good for the community, for the company you're trying to bring out right now, is not the best. Then not setting clear boundaries up front. For me, I always give the directors their contract. I always let them know the 2 directors that are working currently as directors in my CIC, there was a contract up front to say, listen, you're just sort of an advisory role. That's what you're playing here. You're not going to be going into the project and all these things we do, so that the boundaries are very clear from the get-go, right? So it's important to understand these things as you pick directors. Your directors should be there to support your vision, not to compete with you or try to take it over. So always have what we call a director's agreement. I use that a lot. It spells out your role. It talks about the expectation. It talks about the fact that they're not going to be paid. Just simple things, but very, very important. It protects you, because wherever there is money, there is conflict. You must be very careful when choosing directors. The second mistake I see CIC founders make is poor project management. Listen, you're going to get grants. If you have good and fundable ideas, you're going to get grants, because I've seen CIC founders that they start up the CIC, apply for a grant, and boom, they get the grant. But poor project management can crumble a CIC. Getting money for a project and failing to deliver the project as you have agreed in the project agreement is a problem, because you didn't plan the project very well from the get-go. You were just too excited to get funding. Now, funding always comes to CICs that have great project management, great ideas, but poor project management will crumble your CIC. And let me tell you something. See, funders like National Lottery, funders like the Art Council, which are like the first pot of funds you're going to get, easy to get, they really could ask for their money back if you do not spend the money as you have said you will spend it. And they might even block you from future funding. You need to understand project management, and you need to do all that was said in the project agreement, right? Stick to it like your Bible. To avoid this, plan your project properly. Keep receipts of every spending you make. Invoices, receipts, they are very, very important. And then get accurate costs, because there's inflation, there's XYZ. Get accurate costs before you put in the budget for your project. That's how you avoid it. There are loads of things to project management, but I mean, a couple of these will help you. Everything you're spending for your project, keep all your receipts, keep everything, all the evidence, pictures, everything that shows that you did and completed that project successfully. It's very important that you plan your projects well. So when you manage your project well, when you complete your project, when you spend the grants money the way you said you will spend it, funders will see you as very reliable, and they're going to keep funding you year in, year out. Now, mistake number 3 is burnout. And I say burnout because a couple of people start CICs, and at the end of the day, all you see is just burnout, right? They're missing deadlines because they're applying for too many grants at a time. You cannot save the world. You have to focus on a few key outcomes at a time, right? That's why I always tell people, go and check your community. In my city, for instance, Milton Keynes, there's something called the Vital Signs Report that the MK Community Foundation brings out every year. And all I do is to look at that report. That report is the pointer to every single issue in the city. I can just pick 1 or 2 problems and decide to write funding, write ideas for projects on that problem, right? As you start out, to prevent burnout, to prevent missed deadlines, to prevent overwhelm, focus on 2 or 3 key areas and apply, pace yourself, right? Apply for 1 grant, you get it, deliver the grant, deliver the project as you said you would, and then move on to the next. It's not a competition of how much grants you can get at the first few months. It's just a test of how well you can deliver on the key outcomes that you've said you will do, 1 project at a time, 1 funder at a time, 1 funding opportunity at a time. Because if you try to do too many things at once, as a CIC founder, you're going to burn out. And listen, in all this, your mental health also matters. Mistake number 4 is when I see CIC founders just open a CIC, start the CIC, and depend entirely on grant money. Listen, depending entirely on grant money for your CIC is a huge mistake I see most CIC founders do. All they do is just depend on grant money for everything. Grants are amazing. They can help you grow. They can help you kickstart your CIC journey. But what happens in the gaps? The grant money is going to run out. So what happens when you don't have money for a couple of months before another grant funding comes in? The gaps are what we look at. And we don't want a CIC that only depends on grants, What happens in the long run? Your CIC has to be sustainable. If you over-rely on grant funding, it's a mistake that you should avoid and find ways to make sure that you're not depending only on grants. You need to think ahead as a CIC founder, right? What products can you sell? What services can you offer? How can you continue as a CIC to generate income, maybe a couple of months in, months out, right? Because the essence of a community interest company is that you are a social enterprise. You exist for the good of the community. Yes, you will make profit, but your profit will be reinvested in the community. It doesn't take out the fact that you should make profit. So you can do consulting, you can sell merch, you can do fundraising, you can do so many other things to get funding beyond grant funding. When I coach people, I tell them a CIC that would thrive for 10 years and counting, and a CIC that would just crumble in the first few years, the difference is what they sell, services they offer, and how well they can be sustainable, the results that they have beyond the grants that they get. If grants are the only thing you depend on, it's a huge mistake that you should not even make as you start. Finally, we come to mistake number 5. This is the huge one. This is the huge one because this mistake is one of the biggest mistakes I see CIC founders make, and it costs them a lot, even sometimes costing them their CIC. Because for me, I quit my job to start my CIC. I used to be a positive behavior mentor and an employability lecturer in a college, right? I saw the gaps. So I quit my job and said, you know what, let me go into the community. Let me work with underserved young people, with young people from deprived backgrounds, and see how we can help them with employability skills and loads of other things, right? Mistake number 5, because maybe you want to, and a CIC is that vehicle that can help you retire young and retire early. It can pay you so well from projects that you do that you would not need to do a 9 to 5 anymore. But maybe as you grow to quitting your job, you must understand that this mistake is why people say, I can't do it anymore. And mistake number 5 is not paying yourself enough. This one is huge. Some CIC founders don't pay themselves enough. Some CIC founders don't pay themselves at all. Too many CIC founders listen to bad advice, telling you to work for free, telling you not to pay yourself. Some of the CIC founders, you're feeling guilty. Maybe you came from a background where you had to earn pennies, right? Or you had to earn a couple of pounds per hour. And all you're thinking about right now is, how will I be earning this much? And you're feeling guilty for paying yourself. Listen, you're doing so much work with the project planning, with executing the project, with working in the communities. You're doing so much already, and you have to understand that you deserve to be paid well, fairly, but well, right? To the extent of the work that you do. So funders expect you to pay yourself. They don't expect you to work for free. For the Arts Council, for instance, they expect you to at least pay yourself £41 an hour. That's like £349 a day. Yes, because you're doing the work. You're doing most of the work. You're designing the project. You're doing loads of project management is huge, and you're doing good work. You should get paid well. Here's how you pay yourself well, right? You deliver a service or a product, right, as a self-employed contractor or as the founder of an LTD, right? I would say have an LTD that has a separate name from your CIC, right? So your CIC pays you for the work that you do for the CIC through the LTD. So your limited company invoice your CIC for your services, or if you rent something to the CIC, right? It's important to understand that paying yourself well is so key. Now, some people say pay yourself through payee and all that. Now, that's going to have you pay employers NI, and you don't want to do that just now because you're just starting off, right? But what you can do is to get a limited company and then invoice your CIC from your LTD, right? For the work that you do for your CIC. It's important you pay yourself well. When you pay yourself well, you can fully focus on the mission, right? Rather than juggling too many jobs and doing all these things to survive. Your CIC can get grant money, and the projects you do, you can be the sessional worker that delivers the project and get paid for delivering the project. A well-paid CIC founder is the CIC founder that creates high impact projects, right? So don't believe this nonsense that is out there that you can't pay yourself or you can't pay yourself well. Funders want you to pay. Funders don't want you to work for free, right? So learn to pay yourself well. Here you have it. These are my 5 biggest mistakes that CIC founders make. Poor directors, bad project management, overwhelm, over-reliance on funding, and not paying yourself well. Which of these mistakes have you made? Or which of these mistakes resonates with you the most? Right? All I want you to do is drop them in the comments, and I definitely will be reading them and then replying to you. If you're ready to start your CIC the right way, are you ready to start a fundable CIC? Send me a message if you want to have a clarity call with me. It's a 30 minutes one-on-one session that I'm going to have with you to audit all you're trying to do and give you a 90-day blueprint on how you can forge ahead to do the work that you love to do for your community, get very well paid to do it, and then live the life you've always wanted to live while doing good work. That's what social entrepreneurship is all about, right? You'll find the link to my booking page in the description,